Can you confirm with News Nation that you're running for president?
Boy, that would be a nice confirmation, wouldn't it? There'd be a lot of people that would be very upset about that. But I think you're going to be very happy. I think people are going to be very happy at what I do. I was going to do something last night, actually, that would have made the place really happy. And so we're doing it a few days later. And I think people are going to be very happy, very impressed.
To your predecessor, who is about to launch another campaign. So how do you reassure them, if that is the reason for their questioning, that the former president will not return, or that his political movement, which is still very strong, will not once again take power in the United States?
Well, we just have to demonstrate that he will not take power.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
There's breaking news out of Palm Beach, Florida. Former President Trump says his Mar-a-Lago home there is being raided by the FBI.
For the first time ever, a former president of the United States has been indicted.
Former President Donald Trump indicted for a second time.
A federal grand jury indicted former President Donald Trump. It marks the third time the former president has been indicted.
Breaking news on former President Trump. He's been indicted for the fourth time in 5 months.
Breaking news, this is an image that will be in the history books. This is the mugshot of the 45th President of the United States.
The optics of this is working to his advantage. Look.
Breaking news from Colorado, where the state Supreme Court has just disqualified former President Donald Trump.
Donald Trump found guilty on all 34 felony counts.
The total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Take a look at what happened.
The next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I proudly accept your nomination for president of the United States.
Let Trumpomania run wild, brother!
So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation.
She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats.
Investigation underway after the second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
As I was saying,
as you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA.
Get in there.
Let's go! I want to be a whale psychiatrist. I'm going for a job right now at McDonald's. I really wanted to do this all my life. I've now worked for 15 minutes more than Kamala.
The only garbage I see floating out there is your supporters.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Here are our first projections. There, NBC News projects that Donald Trump has won the presidential election in Kentucky, Indiana. In West Virginia, Donald Trump is the winner. Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Alabama, Oklahoma, South Carolina, Arkansas, Texas, North Dakota, South Dakota. NBC News also projects a winner in the Wyoming presidential race, Mississippi, Louisiana, Ohio, Kansas, Utah, Montana, Iowa, the state of Nebraska in the presidential contest, Idaho. The first swing state is North Carolina, going to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has prevailed in the presidential race in Georgia. Pennsylvania. NBC now projects he is the winner of Michigan and its 15 electoral votes.
Donald Trump is the winner in Alaska, picking up 3 more electoral votes.
Donald Trump has won the state of Wisconsin. He is the winner of this race and will return to the White House as this country's 47th president.
Hey, look what happened. Is this great?
What's going on, everyone? Welcome in to CobraCast 199. I was laughing at this super chat. How much is that deer in the window? It just came in and it threw me completely off my intro because I just saw that. It's such a stupid super chat. But I was ready to do my intro in this super chat with JD Vance as the profile picture. I don't know what it is about that one, but anyway, thank you for the super chat. Hello, everyone. Welcome into CobraCast 199. I am your host, Jeremy Prime Major of Unit 199. Happy to see all of you here on a Wednesday. Good to see you. I can't stop laughing at this shit. I don't know why, man. It's like right when I was getting ready to go, that damn super chat rolls in. And I think putting the deer emoji as well was just so perfect. Stormbreaker says, all hail Cobra Commander Jeremy and King Trump. Thank you. Little Jim Taylor says, I wonder how much the SPLC money was paid for January 6th. Juicy Smollett must have gotten a check too. They probably paid better than Mossad. That's what I'm talking about here. Like, I'm a little upset because now the Southern Poverty Law Center apparently has been paying better than Mossad. Now, the whole time I was thinking I was getting paid. All right. And now suddenly I find out that they're paying out even more than Mossad. What the hell's going on around here? Rolling the Retro for 20 says, Jeremy, can you please make the show more gay? This show and you aren't gay enough. Please send me more Small Richard photos too when we meet in Vegas in this year. Make sure you give me a reach around again. What the fuck was this all about? This is the strangest story arc of all time. I think Roland is secretly projecting big time, and he's trying to make it seem like it's a joke. He's trying to cover all of this as like it's a joke, but he's really flirting with me, which makes me very uncomfortable. That makes me very uncomfortable. Because now I'm starting to think that he truly is like, basically, you remember that skit from, what was that movie with James Franco and Seth Rogen? Where Eminem was on that talk show and he basically admits to being gay. And then he's like, I've been leaving like a trail of gayness all through all of my songs or whatever. The Interview, is that what it was? The Interview? That was actually a pretty amazing scene, by the way. What's up, Yellow Flash? Hail to you, Roland. I see you, brother. Hail to you, Yellow Flash. Hope you had a great weekend. I hope everybody had a great weekend. And can anyone tell me what are the oranges for? Let me know in the super chats below. Okay. Elite Goose says honk. Incoherent Name says with the SPLC news, I now have to question who my real friends are and who was only pretending to be racist. And this is the biggest crime here. Now we don't know who the true racists were versus the fake ones. This is the biggest problem that we are facing right now. I share your concerns, Incoherent Name, big time. What's up, Beaky? Hail to you, Gator. What's up? Roostafar. Marc-Andre Roy. Tony Montana. Donuts in the chat. Glazing Trump. Glazing Trump. Ryan does it for the love of the game. Ladybug, what up, Ladybug? Makara. Cam Man. Thought Jess was here. Eric K's probably running around somewhere. Fran Forsythe. Demonic Johnny. Hill Refs, Old Salty Dog, Tay Tay. Nandy for 20 says, don't be alarmed. Roland has been hacked by Beardo. Also funny. IRGC shot at 3 ships and forced 2 ships into the ports, yet they can't go anywhere because of the blockade. We will be discussing that. And here's the thing too, man. Like, honestly, with all of the information that we're getting, there's no way to know what's true and what's not at this point in time. It's all craziness. It's all insanity. And of course, we know that Trump operates with hyperbole all the time because that's just how he does. That's how he negotiates. But yeah, we're going to talk about all of that. The news right now is just crazy out of the Middle East. Taker says, Jeremy, on your last CobraCast, you were talking about Candace Owens and you said, you get my drift. When you said that, when you should have said, you get my grift. Did I say you get my drift? I don't really talk like that. I don't really use that term. Or maybe you're just making that up in order to make a point, which I totally respect, by the way. But if I did say that, that's very rare for me to say you get my drift. But maybe I did. Or maybe I'm reading too much in your super chat. Maybe you're just being sarcastic for the sake of being sarcastic. Who knows around here anymore? I don't know. Dermy Wormy says, let's go. Hail the 199. Dermy Wormy says, it's time for a month-long spring break vacation. You know, it's interesting, the timing of taking a spring break vacation right around when the casino returns. That's very interesting indeed, is it not? Super chat Inception. That's right. We did hit this right here, so let's check this out. And again, let me make a point really quick. I will continue to reiterate why I use mainstream sources. YouTube's AI bot is a disaster right now. So many channels are getting hit and demonetized, getting hit with cyberbullying, all of this. It is crazy right now. Now, some of you may not be aware of this, but if you're on Twitter, there are a lot of channels that are getting demonetized, and it's all because of the AI bot on YouTube. The AI situation is out of control. It's insane. So this is why I just play it safe and just stick with mainstream sources, because it's I don't know how else to get around this crazy shit that's going on, man. It is wild.
A lot happening this hour. We begin with this alert. President Trump giving the radical Islamic Iran just 3 to 5 more days to come to the table. The White House has confirmed to Fox News the ceasefire extension is limited, not indefinite. Already, we are seeing the extra time being used by Iran's Revolutionary Guard to attack. The IRGC fired on and struck commercial ships in and around the Strait of Hormuz overnight. It seized 2 of those ships early this morning. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. Here's what we know about those attacks, 3 in total. Iran's Navy said it seized 2 container ships in the Strait and now has them off the country's coast. Reports a 3rd cargo ship was also attacked in the waterway, but its path shows it's making its way past where the other 2 vessels were stopped. The attacks came just hours after the announcement from President Trump, quote, "We have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until their leaders can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded, one way or the other." Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg is on tap for us today on what the president's next move should be.
Look, you break the impasse by just breaking off negotiations. We're done with these guys. We're finished. And you take a really...
Mar Millen says, double it. Pre-stream chat grift tax. Hail to you, Mar Millen. Hail to you. It still doesn't make up for that horrific video you tagged me in on Twitter. But it does help a little bit. But I'm never going to forget that one. Not sure I can ever forget that. It's so bad that even if we were on Rumble only, I probably still wouldn't show it to this chat, because I respect you all way too much to show you the video that he tagged me in. But thank you, brother. I appreciate it. YouTube's rogue AI tax. Absolutely. Stormbreakers is Jeremy, the Savannah meetup. Details, please, to plan. Well, I mean, really all we have right now is what's on geeksgamers.com, and I'm sure our mods can drop that link when we get a little more detail. And that's about a month away, by the way. When we get a little more information, more specifics, we will add them to that article. So just keep that article bookmarked, and we will update any new information in that article. And it will be at the 9line headquarters. I can't wait. By the way, 9line hooked me up with this hoodie. It's good. Okay. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. But let's continue.
Harder line. You create problems for them They're a theocratic government. They're led by the supreme leader. You've got the IRGC out there, which is actually distributed because of the Mosaic defensive plan out there. We really don't know who's in charge. So we're just going to say we're in charge and this is what we're going to do. And if that means taking Cargo Island or the islands in the Strait, so be it.
A warrior's battlefield plan. You heard it laid out there. Colonel Mike Jernigan is coming up with me in focus. Let's begin with Chief National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin in Washington, D.C. Jennifer.
Harris, Iran never agreed to an extension of the ceasefire, and the IRGC Navy continues to attack commercial shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Since President Trump announced the extension.
Jeremy doesn't respect you. He just doesn't want to scare off his whales, and I respect that. Now I want to show the video just in spite of this comment right here. You know what? I'm about to show it now. Fuck it. I'm showing it. Where's Marmillan? Where's Marmillan's Twitter account? Now we're going to do it. Now chat. Zero Gun Rival. It's his fault. It's his fault. I'm kidding. I'm not showing that shit. You talk about this rogue AI. There ain't no way I can. There's no way. Even if I wanted to, I couldn't.
Extended ceasefire. 3 commercial ships, as you mentioned, have come under attack from Iran. Early this morning, an Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps gunboat fired at the Liberian-flagged Greek-owned Epaminondas container ship 15 miles northeast of Oman. Iran's Navy fired upon the vessel with no warning, according to the British Royal Navy, causing, quote, heavy damage to the bridge. All crew were reported safe. 3 hours later, the UK Maritime Trade Operations Center, or UKMTO, reported a second incident, this time 8 nautical miles west of Iran, where the Euphoria, a Panama-flagged container vessel, was attacked just off Iran's coast. Iran says it is now stranded in
the chaos that we're seeing, that we have been seeing since this entire operation started, just continues to confirm that President Trump is right about why Iran cannot possess a nuclear weapon. Simple as that. Look how difficult it is to have any legitimate negotiations with them. Look at this. Look at their behavior. Look at all of the insanity surrounding it. And this is where the common sense approach applies to this. Get all the noise, forget all the other bullshit, and just look at it from a common sense standpoint. People like this cannot possess a nuclear weapon.
Iranian waters. And the MSC Francesca, a box ship owned by Geneva-based Mediterranean shipping company, came under attack while waiting to sail into the Gulf of Oman and was escorted into Iranian waters. The U.S. blockade continues. The U.S. Navy has turned back 28 vessels, most of them oil tankers, either sailing to or from Iranian ports. But more than 34 Iran-linked oil tankers and gas carriers have made their way through the strait despite the U.S. blockade line in the Gulf of Oman. That, according to Bloomberg. In a House Armed Services Subcommittee hearing last week, the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency warned of Iran's remaining capabilities.
Despite significant degradation of Iranian military capabilities through coalition strikes during Operation Epic Fury, Tehran retains thousands of missiles and one-way attack UAVs capable of threatening U.S. and partner forces throughout the region.
A new analysis by the Center for Strategic and International Studies warns that during 7 weeks of war against Iran, the U.S. military has depleted 45% of its precision strike missiles and half of its inventory of THAAD and Patriot missiles needed to intercept ballistic missiles. And right now, military planners from over 30 countries will hold 2-day talks in London, UK, starting April 22nd. President Trump's 3 to 5 day ceasefire deadline coincides with the arrival in the region of a third aircraft carrier strike group, the USS Bush, in the coming days. Harris.
You know what? Just a pause there, because you reported and reminded everybody that Iran never actually agreed to the ceasefire. So that's interesting because they accused the United States blockade in the Strait of Hormuz of being a violation of the ceasefire.
Exactly what we're dealing with. And you have the 24-hour podcast bros that are reacting to everything. And what's interesting about the critics of this entire situation, and if you notice this, I want you to pay very close attention to the people that are critical of Donald Trump and everything that's going on in Iran. Those people seem to believe everything that the Iranian media reports. They seem to take it as gospel. Yet everything that Trump and America says, they claim it's not true. But everything that Iranian media says, they're like, you see? And it's like, what is wrong with you? Are you kidding me right now? But this puts it in perspective right here.
Everybody, that Iran never actually agreed to the ceasefire. So that's interesting because they accuse the United States blockade in the Strait of Hormuz of being a violation of the ceasefire. So, I mean, so they never agreed to it, but they expect it to be honored. Just a quick word from you on that.
Well, the real question, Harris, is who is negotiating on behalf of Iran? Who is in charge there? And we really still are not clear at that at this point. The IRGC and the IRGC Navy does one thing, and their Speaker of Parliament says another thing to Pakistan. So it's very difficult to know what is actually happening and what is happening with the leadership of Iran right now.
Jennifer Griffin, thank you. In focus now, Colonel Mike Jernigan, former Iraqi invasion commander. So he could.
We got Minister of Ron thinks says last week Israel released recordings of IRGC leaders screaming at each other about only having 4 to 6 weeks till total financial collapse. Trump's 60 days under the War Powers Act resets upon ceasefire agreement. Coincidence? Well, Israel did release it. So by that standard, on the internet, we're not supposed to believe any of it because Israel lies and doesn't say anything honest. But Iran is completely honest about everything. Now, this is according to the internet. So if Israel says it, nothing is true. If Iran says it, it's 100% true. This is the rules the internet has set for us right here. Think about that when you're arguing with these retarded people. Now, I do believe that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. I don't believe that Israel is always honest. I don't believe America is always honest. And I certainly don't think that Iran is ever honest. The truth lies somewhere in the middle. But everything that these people online are reacting to is the complete opposite of what reality has told us to be. They seem to think everything Iran says is just completely 100% true, and everything that Israel says is completely wrong. It's crazy. Turkey Jizz becomes a new member. Had me cracking up with that super chat. Jay Hamilton says, why is Trump negotiating with terrorists? You know, you never negotiate with terrorists. Iran has had enough time at this point. This makes Trump look weak. I don't agree with that. Trump is not necessarily negotiating with terrorists. There's a lot of people within Iran that are not terrorists. He can't just go wipe out everything, even with his threats, which the mainstream media gets super offended over. He can't just go obliterate this entire area. He can't do that. There's a lot of people there that have nothing to do with this evil Islamic terrorist group. So you have to understand that this is a very delicate situation, that it's not as cut and dry as you were looking at it. Let's see. Ann Jeanette says, hail to the figs tax. A shameless plug request at 877 subs. I have the viewing hours. Did I mention this is my favorite show to lurk? Hey, let's get Ann Jeanette to 1,000 subs. Mods, if we can drop that link. Let's get Ann Jeanette, who does a lot of our intros and stuff for Main Event. Hail to her. Appreciate you, Ann Jeanette. Let's get her to 1,000 subscribers. I think we can pull it off. Snake Pit. Marmillan says, you and me both. Never thought I'd see a race swap Grand Canyon in my life, let alone getting cleaned with aerosol. There's so few of you that have experienced the horror that I have experienced with what he's talking about. And you know what? I have something to show you. Okay. Because, this is the only thing I can say right here. Because for those that have not seen the meme that I have seen because of Marmillan, okay? This is how I react to all of you.
I can't wait till I go to hikes. Well, don't you say that. Don't you ever say that. Stay here.
Stay as long as you can. For the love of God, cherish it.
Jennifer, why don't you try?
Cherish the fact that you have not seen what I have seen. Okay? Cherish this moment. Do not go to Mara Millen's Twitter account and see what we have seen. It is horrible. It's scary. It's terrifying. And terrible. Mara Millen's, I'm sorry, Packy Proton says, me not take time to punctuate supers and sends them to person who has trouble reading supers. A marriage made in heaven. You damn right. JRG Project says Iran needs to be made an example of. Delay negotiations at your own peril. They are emboldened. These psychos won't quit unless they are made to. Very true. W. Porter says, who let the deer out? Who? Packy Proton says, you can't negotiate with demons, and if you do, the demons will rise again. Just to end it now. Asher's Place becomes a new member. Thank you. Jimbo199 says, hail, Jeremy. Just a suggestion for you. You should bring in Beardo and Ryan to co-host CobraCast and then leave midstream and start another CobraCast to stream over them. Make sure to time it when Mike is live. Okay. I like where you're going with this. Okay. So at some point in time, we get a Geeks and Gamers stream going. Okay. I'll let Jay host the Geeks and Gamers stream. Then I'll start a CobraCast. I'll bring in Beardo and Ryan. I'll leave halfway through, and then I'll start another CobraCast on D-Day Cobra 2. And then we'll have 3 streams going, and they'll all be streaming over Epic Mic. I love the thinking here. I love the thinking. This is perfect right here. We're going to have to accomplish that at some point in time. Nandy for 50 says, I believe Trump is negotiating with China while engaging Iran in this war. Taiwan situation has been quiet for now. Trump getting his cards set up for the May meeting. So yes, President Trump is reportedly going to be going to China in May. And this is all negotiation. Trump is the greatest negotiator on the planet. Okay, that's just a fact. He is the greatest. So this big meeting in May, and if you notice, this is how you know Donald Trump knows what he's doing. This is how you know that Donald Trump is not as unhinged as he likes to make people think he is, and he's not as unhinged as the media claims he is. Okay? With President Xi in China. When's the last time you heard Donald Trump say bad stuff about him? It's a genuine question. How often do you hear Trump say bad things about him? Almost never. Why? Because he's a legitimate threat and a legitimate opponent, and Trump knows that. Trump is not stupid, and Trump knows exactly what he's doing. He knows not to piss this guy off, and he knows that he needs to get everything in order to deal with this guy. He sizes up his opponent correctly, and he understands what type of situation he's walking into. Trump knows what's up. And this is what no one understands. And on top of that, Trump does love the fact that people think he's unhinged. Trump takes full advantage of the fact that people think he's crazy and unhinged. And it works it to his advantage. So, I mean, fantastic stuff right there. So, yeah, this is going to be huge next month. So we shall see. Nandy, thank you for the 50. As always, Health Minister of Belgium says, I know it's CobraCast, but I had to pass a stool after watching the new Mando clip. I watched them watch that. I was watching daily when they reacted to that Mando clip. It's so bad. It really is. It's terrible. Fear the Hambly says, I hear Iran is stockpiling oranges. What are they? What are they for? check out Smelling Salts brand Smelling Salts. Fear the Hambly. This is dude, I got to play it because yesterday I retweeted it. This is one of my favorite clips right here, man. Right here. Fantastic.
Thank you. Dave Poole has been a member for 38. Thank you.
Oh God, my stomach hurts.
Fear the Humbly with a $10 says, my grift is under attack because Gary won't let me on FNT. Also, did you know deer are just giant dogs? I had to explain that to Dan. Check out Smelling Salts brand Smelling Salts.
Oh, man.
There's some lore in there.
That was such a good clip, man. That was such a good clip. But yeah, good stuff right there. Silver Wing says Interstellar versus Contact. Well, I think you all know where I stand on that. But Matthew McConaughey is in both. But yeah, that's probably going to be a debate because Y-Files retweeted Gary bringing that up. Well, Gary, I think Gary is in his I'm just going to be rage baiter on the internet take now. And so let's see here. Hang on. Let me see if I can find this right here. So Gary's just in his I'm just going to piss people off phase right here. He said, where'd it go? Oh, that's weird. I can't even find it now. He had a tweet earlier. I can't even find it. Did it disappear? Well, let me find it. I got to go to my replies. Okay, right here. So Gary says, too easy. The Hobbit is better than the Star Wars prequels. Okay. That's not true, by the way. The prequels are amazing. And I love the Hobbit trilogy, by the way. Okay. Love the Hobbit trilogy, but the prequels are better than the Hobbit. Okay. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. The prequels are fucking amazing. I don't care what anybody says. And so that's where we are. So then AJ from the Y-File says, it's time for the Interstellar versus Contact debate. Gary says, I need another cup of coffee before I bring the heat. Nolan Bros are no joke. And then I responded, if you understand this reference, you know real cinema. And if you know, you know. But there you have it right there. So that's how all that got started. Let's see. Vlad says, Jeremy, why do you wear a sweater like a shirt? That's an interesting style choice. By the way, you're looking handsome. What?
I am not gay. I have relationships with women, sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
Charles says there is touch winning 199. Thank you, Charles. Old Salty Dog says Contact Interstellar. Contact's good. You're not gonna like the other one, and I think Arrival and Contact are like Interstellar is just it's different. It's a completely different. Like I'm not sure that there is a movie that you can compare to Interstellar. Because ultimately, like I said, at its core, it's a father-daughter story, like a legitimate one, not like, Contact is, but then you add all of the other elements to it. Like many people were trying to compare Project Hail Mary to Interstellar, and then I went and saw it, just like they tried to compare Arrival to Interstellar, and I'm like, there's just not the same thing. Like Project Hail Mary is a great movie, but it's not. There's no direct comparisons to that in Interstellar. You know what I mean? So, Contact is a father-daughter story. Okay, it kind of, but not really. Like, I mean, not without spoiling it, it's really weird how the alien turns out. The alien, it's District 9 is fantastic, by the way. Love District 9. I haven't watched District 9 in a long time. Let's see. Interstellar is Nolan's love letter to 2001 Space Odyssey. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Interstellar has proven over time to be one of the biggest, most beloved films in the past 20 years. And of course, that brings trendy haters online because that's just how it is. But Contact, I think that's going to be that'll be like an Edge Boy thing where people are like, Contact's better than Interstellar. There is no metric that's going to support that. You can look that up in any way. Look at box office receipts, look at online reviews, look at how people debate it, look how many videos are made. People are making videos about Interstellar right now. Nobody's talking about Contact. That's kind of like the edgelord thing of like, so-and-so's better than Michael Jordan. It's like, nobody's better than Michael Jordan. You can claim somebody's better than him, but you're wrong. And that's fine. You can be wrong. It seems like Interstellar popularity has increased. Oh, it's increased massively. Massively. I mean, like I said, if you go, I don't spend time on Letterboxd, by the way. I don't do Letterboxd, but Letterboxd is one of the biggest online film communities, apparently. And Interstellar is the film on the entire site that has the most 5-star reviews or some shit like that. I'm not sure how that works on Letterboxd. And then on IMDb, I think Interstellar is like the 5th most reviewed movie in history. So, but the critics didn't like Interstellar, so there's that. At least they didn't like it. I think it's one of Nolan's lowest films because the critics didn't like that it was a story about a father and a daughter at its core. Because that is the true crime in Hollywood, is to make a movie a story about a strong father figure. That's a true sign of like Hollywood is not going to like that. They're going to be very angry about that. Old Salty Dog says, mind you, I haven't seen Interstellar, but I can't bring myself to agree with Jeremy more than once a day. See, he just said Contact's better than Interstellar, and now he says he's never even seen it. I love the internet. Rooster says, Trump is a businessman, and every business is different. Trump, it's only matching their energy. That's exactly what he's doing, and that's exactly what so many people do not understand about Trump. He is 100% matching Iran's energy. They're going to put, it's like anything else. There's no need to complicate things. When I say Donald Trump is a counterpuncher, that doesn't necessarily mean in a physical fight. And people have to understand what that means. Counterpuncher, it represents so many different things. When Iran is constantly putting out lies and manipulating the messaging, Trump is going to counterpunch with the same energy. And people that are so broken mentally can't understand that that's exactly what he does constantly. But let's see. I can't believe you have to explain this. Sadly, welcome to the world we're in where these people just can't understand the most basic thing. Cole Hauser says Interstellar rules. Fuck yeah, it does. Mark Andre Rose says Interstellar is awesome. Armageddon versus Interstellar. I mean, Interstellar is the better movie, but I will never apologize for how much I love the movie Armageddon. I love Armageddon so much. It's fantastic. And it is Michael Bay at peak Michael Bay. Along with The Rock, but I love Armageddon. It's so good. Bruce Willis crushed it in that movie. Legalized adulthood for 1990 says, breaking Timu IDOT here. How was your weekend? What are the oranges for? Here are shekels for your Mossad operation. Alex Jones can check my dipstick. Panicans always migrate south for the winter. Legalize adulthood in the house. Thank you, sir. Another father-daughter story. Yeah, that's Armageddon. Again, those are the movies that, like, I'm going to connect with those. Man on Fire. There's another one, a strong male figure. And that's actually a huge discussion that is going on online right now because of what happened yesterday with this new video game and how this new video game has basically opened up the discussion of, hey, maybe people should focus on creating a family. And Tim Cast in particular stepped in it big time. And I think we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. Old Salty Dog says, Final Impact beats Armageddon. Armageddon's ass like Trump did to Kamala. Final Impact? You mean Deep Impact? Is that what you mean? Jimbo says, would you trade Interstellar to have Titanfall back? Fuck no. Hell no. Not at all. Connect says, peak Michael Bay as Bad Boys 1 and 2. That's good. I can't argue with that. Phil says, one can only stay. Lord of the Rings trilogy or Interstellar? Interstellar. I mean, I do think the Lord of the Rings movies are the greatest movies ever made, but Interstellar is my favorite movie, and I will take favorite over that. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens now. We got to go. Got to find this bookmark that I had. Fuck my life. Yes, Deep Impact. I thought you meant Deep Impact. I've never heard of Final Impact. Now, we've got this right here, which is very interesting. So, as you know, last night, we had a huge announcement that the Department of Justice is indicting the Southern Poverty Law Center, which, if you have been paying attention to anything over the past, several years, with all of the white supremacy narrative and the racist narrative and all of this bullshit, Charlottesville, January 6th, anything else that you've seen out there, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been behind all of this by funding all of this. Now, many of you have called this out for years. We've all been calling this out as fake and gay. And now here we are where they are being indicted. Here is Steven Crowder talking about it.
SPLC, according to their own website. References available 11 a.m. every day. Bibliography every show. The SPLC is a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond, working in partnership with communities to dismantle white supremacy, strengthen intersectional movements, and advance the human rights of all people. And the way they did that is by censoring mainstream right-leaning conservative voices, pressuring big tech, working in tandem, by the way, with the Biden and Obama administration. They referenced the SPLC ad nauseum, destroying lives while paying the leadership of said racial supremacist groups. This is why when we made ourselves cancel proof, and that's because of your membership, right? Mug Club, it's now Rumble Premium. We saw the writing on the wall early on. We didn't want to be reliant on sponsors. We knew that YouTube was going to try. And this is a very good, this is a very good forward thinking from Crowder. But again, let me show you this really quick. This is all the SPLC right here. You've seen these images, and every time these things happen, the mainstream runs with this narrative. Every single time the mainstream runs with this. There's another one right here. We've all seen this shit, okay? Here's another one right here. Here we go.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around.
I know it was a little low. But you know which meme that is. That's the Beetlejuice meme right there. There's Tucker Carlson. That's Tucker Carlson and his new outfit. So congratulations to Tucker Carlson and his new outfit. Really, really happy about that for him. And we'll get to that here a little bit later. All right, back to Crowder. Here we go.
Try and pinch that valve. They demonetized us. We saw it coming. But when we were starting our awareness campaign, going back to 2015, we constantly used the SPLC as a reference point because that is who all of the big tech companies would cite. Make no mistake, this is a giant that has fallen. The Southern Poverty Law Center today only serves as a propaganda wing of the left. People need to understand that. In 1986, the entire staff outside of the founder left the SPLC, and most of them said it was because the organization was shifting from fighting against death penalty, from fighting for social justice sort of landmark cases, to simply targeting conservatives and creating their right-wing hate watch.
Solo quiero que les veas el rostro. Míralos, a los miembros del SPLC. Han ayudado a miles de víctimas de las palabras de Mug Club.
We do need to band together and understand the size of the enemy that we're facing right now. And the SPLC is a huge one.
Okay. Trato con el SPLC.
Nos dijendos habían clasificados a 900 organizaciones como grupos judíos. La mejor oportunidad de tumbar al Mug Club como uno.
By the way, these are the same people, the SPLC, who determines what content is hate speech, what content is allowed.
We're going to grab the SPLC by the dick, and we're going to kick them in the ass.
The SPLC.
You know, I remember when Gavin McInnes was on FNT. I got to thinking about this because it's this kind of like right-wing mentality of nerds and gamers. And I remember that Gavin McInnes was truly shocked when he found out that almost all of us on the panel had kids or married with kids. And he was just completely shocked that a bunch of guys who talk about video games and comic book characters actually had families. And it just kind of was like, it's a peek into how these people view this because they don't have any fucking clue what's going on. And if you go back, you can listen to him, like, he could not believe it. It's like, maybe do some fucking research.
Is one of the main, I guess you would say one of the main seats on this board of directors that YouTube has in determining content guidelines.
With Mug Club growing into the largest pay service subscription model on the internet, not only did Blacko Mugskabar find himself on big tech's radar, but straight in the crosshairs of the SPLC. See, the SPLC are arbiters of what's determined hate speech and allowed on the platforms. And they decided that Blacko had to go.
And this may be why when people say they're all the same, I just don't agree. I have been around for a long time, and we've had to deal with lawyers in the SPLC and conversations with Google executives, YouTube executives who would cite the SPLC. This is a big deal. They are not all the same because the left enables, references, directs people to, and supports the SPLC.
Yep.
I have not been thrilled with Kash Patel's job performance. I have not been thrilled with his DOJ in a lot of ways. This is a big win. And it's a bigger win than most people realize because the SPLC has been pretty effective in really affecting change without you knowing about it.
And I mean, look, Elon Musk, you know, this was back in 2024 where Elon Musk called them out, you know, and he even, you know, quote tweeted that again yesterday to show. And of course, he's not the only one. I mean, Alex Jones has been calling this shit out for a long time. Just understand, like, this is who they are right here. The media reporting on Charlottesville suddenly looks a tad bit more suspicious considering what we know about the SPLC.
Street battles, and it was a weekend of street battles and stark displays of racism, exploding into a deadly act of domestic terror. Tonight, we examine the hateful groups that now appear to be banding together. Why are they now emerging from the shadows, emboldened and growing in numbers?
Hate no longer hides behind hoods. This was the scene in the liberal college town of Charlottesville, Virginia on Friday, reminiscent of images from a dark American past.
This is a racist rally and we should name it as such. I'm less interested actually in the rally and more interested in how this rally functions.
I could see from my office here in New York City how this was building. This was not just predictable, but predicted.
Well, the most striking thing is how well organized it was. There's people.
Oh yeah. Very, very surprised at how well organized it was. How on earth could it be that well organized? Oh, maybe because it has direct funding. Because again, step back from all the noise, step back from all the bullshit, and just apply common sense to it. Okay? Common sense. And common sense would tell you that when you see the level of organization and when you see the level, like all of the signs and the unification that they have, all of a sudden you're like, none of this makes sense.
Crowd control. There were people dropping people off at specific locations. There was security. There were people handing out extra tiki torches. Everyone who was there knew exactly what they were signing up for.
I'm joined now by Mark Potok, a former senior fellow at the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I think that
What happened to his fucking head? What is this thing? What is this? What is this? Old Ryan? Holy shit. George Lucas? That is wild.
I'm joined now by Mark Potok.
There's a lot going on in this picture, man. There's a lot happening right now. George Kennel. Oh, the memes are going to be nice from this one. Tree Bear, do your thing.
Potok, a former senior fellow at the Southern Poverty Law Center.
I think that this is a new generation of racists who, as Carol and Leonard both have suggested, were in large part created by Donald Trump and others like Donald Trump.
It's always Donald Trump, isn't it? It's always Trump. Yep. Let's see. Dermy Wormy. I got that one. Old Salty Dog. I got that one. Taker says, you want receipts? I got them. 118.48 on your last stream is where you said you get my drift. It may be Netflix Yahoo possessing your mind, though. Holy shit. I did say that. That's weird. That's just not something I normally say. But point taken, sir. You win. Rub-a-dub-dub becomes a new member. Thank you. Dermy Wormy says, sent you a DM on Pragmata. All right. I will check it out. Ministry of All Things says, PsyOps are real, vindicated. JRG Project says, I am similar. I love the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, but my favorite movie of all time is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Given the choice between the two, Khan wins every time. Yeah, I mean, the Lord of the Rings movies are the greatest movies ever made. I don't even think there's a debate for that, but that doesn't make them my favorite movies. I can separate my favorite from what I think is the greatest. John Jones says, is Hamley going to go full Groyper now to try to grift off the SPLC? He might, and maybe why he's going on vacation. Fear the Deerdo says, he's wearing my cousin on his head. Over on Rumble, we got Fred. Let's see, is it? Oh, it's you've changed your name, right? Fredrickson says, I think it's priceless that people didn't know the SLPC were evil this entire time. Well, they have flown under the radar for a lot of people. So a lot of people just haven't been paying attention. But again, I played this last night, and I think this is very important to make you understand what's going on. So if you're watching late last night, then you will totally, you're just going to see this again. But this is a classic example of the media manipulation. And we all know this story. Everybody watching this knows this story. The good people on both sides hoax from the media. But seeing how the media completely manipulated this, it truly is incredible to watch this in real time.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis. Believe me, not all of those people were white supremacists. You also
now he let that was his full statement. His full statement right there. By the way, John freaking Murdoch says, "Hey Jeremy, just letting you know I'm here. Happy Jessica." Also, that guy looks like Ozempic George Lucas. That guy's scary, man. And the Tree Bear memes are going to be pretty glorious for sure. That is some scary stuff right there. Hail to John freaking Murdoch. Thank you, Turkey Jizz, for the 99-cent super sticker. Thank you. All right, here we go.
Also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group, excuse me, I saw the same pictures as you did.
Those are the receipts. Why doesn't President Trump condemn racism?
It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad every time I hear this shit. The fact that they clip out where he calls out white supremacy and neo-Nazis, they clip it out, and then they follow it up by saying, why doesn't he call out racism? That's fucking next level, bro.
His own words and actions tell you why. He's a racist.
Okay, I'm being told we have it. Thank you. Run it, please.
Excuse me, to protest, they didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
That was President Trump saying that very fine people were marching alongside neo-Nazis and skinheads and white supremacists, people who had chanted Jews will not. Yes, those people, the anti-Semites in Charlottesville. They were
like this right here. This should make CNN go out of business. Like this right here. This is proof that CNN is the enemy of the people. Right here. This is the type of shit. See, this is where we're missing all of the problems with the nonsense, with the anti-Israel crowd, and the all the bullshit about what Charlie Kirk was assassinated because of shit like this. This is it right here. This type of shit.
We're tapping into the deep and dark vein of what's known today as replacement theory. Now, most people watching that would be outraged. The former president said this.
They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. They didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Very fine people among Americans that night chanting Nazi slogan.
Every single one of these people know that Trump added the more context and said he denounces white supremacy and neo-Nazi. Every single person knows that he did that, and every single person is intentionally leaving it out. Scully for 50 says, hail chat. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much, Scully. Good to see you, as always.
Man who has often struggled to unequivocally denounce white supremacists.
They showed up in Charlottesville to protest. They didn't put themselves down as you, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
Those words have power. They have meaning. And when Donald Trump speaks, the world listens. Neo-Nazis and white supremacists certainly listen. So why can't he denounce them? Why can't he reject their support?
And I'm not
important to play this one more time in its full entirety, not the whole video, but his words right here.
Talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis. Believe me, not all of those people were white supremacists. You also...
It's disgusting. Again, I will always say, follow Maze. Maze is great. Good, awesome follow right there. Does really good edits, and he puts a lot of these montages together so that people can, see what actually is happening. So definitely go give him a follow. If you're on Twitter, I highly suggest that. Let me see. Real president told you to your face. He's denounced white supremacy more than any president in history. Like, that's just the truth. Donald Trump has denounced white supremacy more than any president in history. I think somebody even said it last night. Combined, all the presidents in history combined, Trump has denounced white supremacy more than any of them combined. And yet they still claim that he is never denouncing white supremacy. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. That's where we are. So, all right, next up, let's talk about the situation with Pragmata. All right. So this does tie into a lot of what we are seeing right now. But Mary Morgan from Timcast really stepped in it last night. Really stepped in it. And I think that there's some details that some people are missing, but I want to set the table for many of you about what's going on with this game so that you can understand that this is bigger than video games. And this is all tied into, with the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is what they've been doing. They have been infecting the culture with this feminist mindset, with this feminist ideology, with trying to let women know, hey, women, you don't need to start a family. You don't need to have kids. You don't need to let a man control your life. You should go and be your own person. You should be your own person. And it's led to shit like this. This is Hero Hayes' channel, and he got to break some of it down. So listen to this first.
New game Pragmata has been a great success since its recent release on April 14th, currently getting an overwhelmingly positive score over on Steam. Many men and women are talking about how they're enjoying the father-daughter-esque relationship between Hugh Williams, the MC, and Diana, an android that he meets. However, Twitch streamer Hassan Piker and a number of Reddit moderators are getting very offended by this game. This user going to our video games, showing how their post on our PlayStation was removed by the mods, and it simply said, wonderful game. This game was absolutely a 10 out of 10 for me. And that
this post was removed by Reddit mods. The same Reddit mods that are calling me a racist and a sexist for hating The Last Jedi or hating woke Hollywood and saying that all we do is push negativity. All we do is push negativity. Here's somebody comes in there and says, wonderful game. This game is absolutely a 10 out of 10 for me. Gets removed.
the OP definitely recommends the game. But as mentioned, it seems like the Reddit mods really didn't like this post. How dare this guy celebrate the game and recommend it? That post ended up getting deleted. With additional context in the responses, we can see a user had said, I remember seeing and upvoting your post. Did they say why your post was removed? The OP says no reason was given. That even messaged the mods asking why it got removed and was just ignored. In another example from 15 hours ago, a user simply asked, is Pragmata good? And that post was also removed by the mods. So many posts.
You have to ask yourself, why are they removing people saying a video game is good? Why? You have to think about the level of craziness that it would take.
About Pragmata on the PlayStation subreddit are getting deleted. That a user even asked, can a mod explain why Pragmata posts are being taken down, please? And that ended up also getting deleted by the mods with no explanation given. A top 1% user of the Our PlayStation subreddit went on to try to defend the behavior of these moderators, even going on to say that all of the positivity around Pragmata just must be astroturfing. It can't be authentic. But other users weren't falling for that, pointing out the hypocrisy and double standards of the moderators and how they are taking a much more heavy-handed approach against Pragmata posts than they have other recent releases. As for the astroturfing claim of that user, this response specifically goes on to call that out, saying Marathon was not that long ago and was being shielded way harder than this game is, and yet I never once saw mods intervene for the sake of quality control for that game. Those are just a few examples of what's going on over on Reddit. Now we'll take a look at the clip of Twitch streamer Hassan Piker that's been going around talking.
Good old Hassan Piker now chimes in.
About Pragmata.
In any case, what is this? Capcom's Pragmata. Wait, did it come out already? Pragmata, it's making thousands of people suddenly want to start a family. You play as Hugh, a soldier, stranded on a ruined lunar research station. His job is protecting the childlike android Diana while fighting rogue AI. It's out already? Is it good? Isn't this like Death Stranding? In one emotional moment, she gives him a crayon drawing of the two of them together as a little family. Even streamers who say at the start they didn't want kids end up breaking down happy in tears. So what's really interesting about this is all of these unfillable losers in the gaming sphere always talk about like starting families and stuff. And I don't understand.
Oh man, how bad that people want to start a family. How terrible that people aspire to start a family.
Understand like why this has become a thing that they care about. Like, if you're a gamer, you should care about things that you actually experience. You should care about things that you actually enjoy, right? If you're a fucking lonely gamer who has never been around a woman and will never have sex with a woman, why do you care? Like, why do you care about having children or like riding for having children? Like, if they changed hot Cheetos, if they changed.
Holy fuck.
Change the recipe of hot Cheetos, if they change the recipe of like, I don't know, Dr. Pepper or something, and you freaked out about that, that makes sense, right? Like, that's precisely what your life is about. But as far as like LARPing about starting families and whatnot, this is something that I never understand. It just doesn't make any sense to me because.
Yeah. So, I mean, for me, I really like playing Mario Kart because I love to go out in the real world and throw turtle shells at cars. What? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, I really love running over the question mark boxes in real life and getting weapons so I can throw bananas and turtle shells. What the fuck are you talking about, Hassan? You fucking retard.
It's just not something that you're going to experience ever for your life, for the rest of your life, right?
He then spends like 25 seconds just looking for all this yes men in chat, really thinking he cooked with that take. Of course, I'm speeding this part up. It's just a lot of dead air. And you know what? I got to hand it to the man. This is some impressive stuff. It's not every day you see someone capable of being this out of touch.
Also, I will say, Japanese game, putting a child in there, you're playing with fire, okay? Don't get mad at me for saying this, but I feel like any Japanese game you put like a child, it's gonna invite maybe the worst possible fandom, you know? I know it's not like that. I'm sure the game is not like that, but there will be people who take it like that.
Top responses including, you seem...
Dude, like, what are we talking about? What the hell is even happening? So our buddy Critical Drinker on his Critical Gamer channel actually catches us up on the latest with this. This discussion is absolutely insane, by the way. Here we go.
If there's one thing you can always depend on with the internet, it's that you'll find people and worldviews that are absolutely guaranteed to destroy what little faith you have left in humanity.
This is
like
true.
with Pragmata, for example, a new game from Capcom about a human soldier who befriends a small girl that's actually a robot and gradually forms a father-daughter bond with her as they work together to escape a dangerous environment. It's a wholesome, charming story of family, fatherhood, and protectiveness that's been so well received, it's apparently making a lot of young people yearn to have children of their own. Which naturally means it's made all the usual suspects completely melt down on social media and accuse the game of everything from promoting PDF files to being some kind of weird far-right conservative brainwashing.
I'm disappointed in your species.
So am I, Neil Breen, every fucking day. This right here is why we can't have nice things.
100%, dude. Like the fact that this is a controversial story shows you exactly how much damage a place like the Southern Poverty Law Center has had on the culture. They have had, these people have been completely brain rotted over shit like this. It all ties in. You have to understand the demoralization that is going on. It's a cancer that has been spread, and so many weak-minded people have had their brains rotted over this. It's crazy.
And it really says a lot about the kind of people who see something as simple and wholesome as a small child forming a paternal bond with a male character who can protect them and immediately go into the darkest places possible. It almost makes you wonder if there's a bit of projection going on there, doesn't it? Either way, there's definitely a lot of hang-ups and insecurities getting exposed by this game, like Mary Morgan from Pop Culture Crisis here.
So Mary Morgan, part of Pop Culture Crisis, Timcast, and this is what I was leading into, had a horrendous take on Twitter. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's bad. Scully says, was Hassan the one who shocked his dog? That would be Hassan Piker. Yes, that is him right there. You are correct. Hassan makes Beardo sound intelligent. Holy shit.
Who boldly declared, "Childless men do not have paternal instincts the way childless women have maternal instincts. We observe this even in the way little girls play versus little boys. Men first experience paternal instincts once they have their own children, and typically those paternal instincts are only ever felt for their own children and no one else's." Are you retarded? Really? That's interesting, Mary, because according to a report by the BBC from 2024, young single men today are actually 12% more likely to want children than women in the same age group, between 59 and 65% of men versus 45 to 63% of women, which is a bit sad all by itself, because most of those women will eventually hit middle age and realize their future consists of nothing but solo vacations, coming home to empty apartments, and drinking bottles of wine until old age or liver failure eventually claims them and they'll die alone, unloved and forgotten like they never even existed. But hey, that's their problem, not mine. The point being, the majority of young men do in fact have paternal instincts. The data bears this out, but
it's for the same reason that we're talking about father-daughter stories with Interstellar and Armageddon, Contact, whatever. Look at Man on Fire. Man on Fire is a movie that people live vicariously through Denzel, because any man in that situation would at least attempt to do what Denzel Washington did in that situation. That's not his daughter. There's no lineage there. It's because of the bond that was created. And if you've watched Man on Fire, and again, if you have not seen Man on Fire, I don't know what the hell you're doing with your life, but Man on Fire is one of the greatest movies ever made. And the storytelling involved in that. And so many people have connected to that, whether they have kids or they don't have kids. But it's like Denzel is a broken man when he is introduced to Dakota Fanning's character. All right. He's a broken man. He's been through hell. And his relationship with her, at first, he wanted nothing to do with her. But eventually she started to break through with him. And that powerful moment in the movie where instead of picking up the alcohol as he develops his relationship with her, instead of picking up the alcohol where he's drinking himself to death, he decides, I'm not going to pick up the drink. I'm going to pick up a Bible. Like, dude, I'm getting chills just saying it right now. You know what I mean? People love these types of stories and they connect with these types of stories for a reason, because it's within us. It's within who we are.
Even more fundamental to the male psyche that young Mary here either can or won't ever understand is that men are first and foremost protectors. It's literally what we are designed to do. We've spent millions of years doing it, in fact, and even though we're not having to go out hunting mammoths and fighting saber-toothed tigers anymore, it is still hardwired into our brains to the point where even now, men will instinctively risk their lives to help others in moments of crisis or danger. They don't have to be asked, they don't think about it, they just react because it's what they do. I mean, how many news stories have you read about normal everyday guys running into burning buildings to rescue children, or acting as human shields, or any one of 100 other ways they put their own lives on the line without even thinking? It is what men do. They protect, they sacrifice, they defend people who can't defend themselves, even complete strangers. So it's not all that difficult to imagine projecting that same instinct onto a character in a video game that's specifically designed to inspire those same exact feelings. It's what good storytelling does, believe it or not. And it's not just men that are enjoying Pragmata and responding to the parental dynamic at play there either. Women, no matter what they've been conditioned to think about family and children, seem to have pretty strong reactions of their own. I mean, check this one out.
She is so cute, and I don't even like kids, but I like her.
You. Thanks for talking to me all the time.
Did she give me a gift?
Ta-da!
Is this supposed to be when we first boarded the tram?
The people that have been calling me a racist and a sexist for the past 10 years, the people that have been calling you a racist and a sexist and a toxic fan, hate this game. Think about that. Think about that.
Uh-huh. I drew it. It's for you.
Oh, what do you
laugh back.
She hung it up. She hung it up. So adorable.
All right, calm down, love. It's just a fucking game. But isn't it interesting, dear viewer, how all that propaganda and decades of postmodern social constructivist dog shit just goes flying right out the window the moment those hormones start rushing and biological instinct kicks in? It's like when you see those videos of women who said they never wanted kids, holding babies for the first time and completely melting down because for the first time in their lives they realize what they've been missing. A gap that can't be filled with drinking or partying or likes and subscribes on Instagram.
Right.
The problem is, I genuinely think the idea of showing male characters, masculinity, and fatherly protectiveness in a positive light, and making players of both genders realize that having a family can actually be quite fulfilling and rewarding, actually brings out anxiety and full-on rage in a lot of people today. Because by golly, misery sure does love company.
It's kind of like, that's a good pause right there. It's kind of like that moment, okay? Like you truly... sometimes you just don't want to see reality. So how many of you have been like, you're getting ready to go somewhere and you're like, all right, I'm feeling good about myself. And then you accidentally open up the front facing camera on your phone and you're like, fuck, I'm ugly as shit. And you don't want to look at that again because you don't want to see the reality. You need to keep the illusion of what you created in your head. The moment you see that front-facing camera from that bad angle, you're like, fuck, I didn't need to see that shit. Damn it. That's what happens with these feminists. Stories like this force them to face their reality, and they hate their reality because they see what their life should be, and they have to face the reality that they have been lied to their entire life. And they're miserable.
Like all those people on social media coping and seething about Sydney Sweeney being too hot because her attractiveness shines a giant spotlight on the horrifying bloated flesh prisons they've created out of attractiveness shines a giant spotlight.
I love you, Drinker, but I'm not listening to a damn word you're saying, brother. I don't hear anything that you're saying right now, Drinker.
On the horrifying bloated flesh prisons they've created out of their own bodies, or the journalists imploring men not to work out anymore because strength and confidence intimidates them, or in this case, the activists triggered by a game that's unashamedly pro-family that paints male strength and protectiveness in a positive light without trying to mock or deconstruct it because it just reminds them of how empty, bitter and meaningless their own failed lives are. I guess the point I'm making here is that if a game, movie, or even a celebrity pisses off bitter, angry, childless activists on social media and inspires angry think pieces from seething journalists in their piss-smelling studio apartments, then it's a pretty safe bet that it's worth your time. Personally, I can't wait to play Pragmata, and I'll look forward to delivering my own review as soon as I'm done. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Go away now. So that's the Critical Drinkers gaming channel, the Critical Gamer. If you have not, you should go check that out. But to further on this, Mary Morgan of Pop Culture Crisis actually addressed the controversy on Pop Culture Crisis right here. So she's bringing up her tweet where she got community noted and absolutely annihilated by everyone. And I don't know exactly where they start talking about it, but let's listen in from right here.
Or gay men personas. So I'm referring to children. Creepy vibe.
Frank Castle comes back to Marvel for the 50th time with John Byrne. Like, there's an aspect of it being played up here, perhaps.
I just want to address this because I don't think it's totally unreasonable for people to get creepy vibes.
Based on what? I just, again, there is nothing in this game that gives you creepy vibes based on anything that I have seen. What are you talking about?
Not because it's sexual in any way, but because this is a game that's primarily being marketed and sold to men who don't have children. And
well, what does that?
This is my hot take. Actually, I'll just read it so we don't have to allude to it all the time. So I said, childless men do not have paternal instincts the way that childless women have maternal instincts. We observe this even in the way little girls play versus little boys. So I'm referring to little girls displaying maternal instincts in the way that they play with baby dolls. Even from birth, you can detect that female babies make more eye contact than male babies. It's just ingrained in us biologically that, you know, women are caregivers. They are the nurturers. Men first experience, this is continuing my post.
This is a horrendous take. Now, there is something to this too, because a lot of people have complained. Like right here, I will address this a little bit later. I started this earlier in the chat, but Temple's response to him backing up Mary was truly sad to see. We're going to address that here in just a minute, okay?
Men first experience paternal instincts once they have their own children, and typically those paternal instincts are only ever felt for their own children and no one else's. Contrast that, I guess, with, you know, liberal moms on Facebook crying about children on the other side of the planet. Men are not nurturers. Men don't gush over cute kids in public. Men don't have baby fever. If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. Here I perhaps put too much, labor on the audience to interpret what I meant. I was inferring cases where, you know, single men or gay men pursue adopting or...
You didn't say that in your post. You didn't mention gay men. You made a generalization about men in general. You did not make that distinction at all. Not even close.
Buying a child via surrogacy without a mother involved in the process. And I do think that that's predatory, and it's predatory in the worst cases, of course, but in most cases just terrible for the child, because a man can never provide for a child what even an adoptive mom can,
but
because their brains are literally just not wired to be nurturing.
Okay, so
and then I said you'd be taking the
He's protecting the girl in the game. He's protecting her. You are taking a completely different topic and applying it to a game, and it's not even remotely close to the same thing.
Feminist / radical gender abolitionist position to protest the above points. This should explain why a dad simulator game marketed to mostly childless men gives people the creeps.
But I feel like so I guess I feel like there's a little bit of an issue here where you're talking about nurturing, but men aren't leaning into the nurturing for something like this. Maybe in this scene, but the point is protection, not nurturing, which isn't.
Thank you. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the point.
Something inherent to men only after they have kids. There's a reason why brothers are fiercely protective of their sisters.
And by the way, like, so this is a long time ago. Mary actually invited me on to Pop Culture Crisis. I was just like, maybe a later date. And I know, I forget his name, but he's a fan of all of our stuff. Like, he watches our stuff. So I don't really have anything inherently against either one of them. But this is a terrible take by her.
Or why, I guess the example that I always think of is like, there's a reason why every dude on planet Earth thinks that if they were on a plane with a terrorist, that they would be the one to stop it, to protect the women and the children there, and they don't have to be their own children. I feel like you are having two different discussions with the people in the comments there. And I do believe that men, maybe not at the same rate as women, eventually do come to feel a certain lack if they don't have kids and family. There's like a community note there. I can't rank it. I don't know how accurate it is, so I'm not going to reference it. I don't have the statistics on that, but men do yearn for families to have kids, which is a little bit different, given what the discussion you were having there with people.
I didn't even see the community note.
It says research shows childless.
Did she just pretend that she didn't know she got community noted? Come on, Mary. Come on. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, that was crazy.
I didn't even see the community note. What
It
does it
says
say?
research shows childless men experience broodiness and desire for fatherhood nearly as often as childless women, 59% versus 63%, and men included non-parents exhibit innate caregiving and protective responses to infants. So I think that the thing is, you were talking about nurturing. Nurturing is kind of in the realm of protection, but not necessarily the same thing.
There's a
Men are
distinction.
fiercely instinctual towards the protection because we have to be biologically programmed to do it to continue the human race.
Yeah, that's a valid point, and you're right that it draw to protect the vulnerable is intrinsic to masculinity and men's capacity for fatherhood.
That's
sure.
what I believe.
She's saying that she's said that a man that has no lineage or connection will have no desire to have any protection or whatever over a female that's not connected, you know. And then someone during, I believe it was Daily or maybe it was Main Event last night, I can't remember. So Tim Pool came to her rescue. Now, a lot of people are going after Tim Pool. All right. A lot of people are going after him for this. I'm going to take a slightly different approach that many of you will be shocked by. I actually respect Tim Pool's take on this because Tim is literally doing the very... So what Tim is doing, and I'm not saying he's intentionally doing this. Let me be clear. But Tim's action by defending her is simultaneously destroying her own argument while defending her. I'm not saying that that was Tim's intention at all, but his action of defending her while she is getting annihilated by the internet is him unintentionally proving her wrong by trying to back her up. Because Tim is not her family, he's not dating her, he's not with her. He has no connection to her outside of the fact that she works for him. So his action to white knight for her, he's doing that to try and back up his friend / employee, and he's proving her wrong all along the way. Trying to take some of the heat off of her, whatever. So I do appreciate that that was his attempt, even though he is wrong, completely wrong. But it's the fact that his action completely destroys her argument.
So what this is resonating with men is not, maybe the aspect here is like, he's like, I'm going to give her a name, which I suppose leans into the nurture side of things.
Wait a minute. Tim had a 23-minute video response to this today. Now that I did not see. I did not see the video. So I did not see that one.
But it's directly connected to what men would feel, which is the ability to connect with and then protect someone in a dire situation, right? So if we, like, one of the examples that was getting brought up, if I was looking into this, was like how step parents are different from regular parents, right? But that's not the same thing as somebody being thrust into an extremely dangerous situation where terrorists or robots are coming after you, and then you need to protect those younger and weaker than you. And I do believe that is innate to men, and that is what is resonating with men in this game.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have a show called Pop Culture Crisis, correct? Right. What does Pop Culture Crisis cover? I know what they cover. They cover the same shit that we've covered for years on Geeks and Gamers, and how Hollywood has infiltrated pop culture to try and weaponize all of this agenda-driven storytelling in order to shift the culture in the direction that they want. But at the same time, Mary is sitting here saying that this game is not going to make anyone go out and have kids and get a family. Your entire brand is built off of Hollywood using these tactics to shift the culture And now we have a game that is inspiring people to go do the complete opposite of what Hollywood is pushing. And now you're saying that a game cannot convince someone to do that. Make it make sense.
I guess I was just trying to draw the distinction between how men and women respond to the vulnerability of children. I mean, babies being the most helpless human beings on the planet. And it's my perspective that men do not have the capacity to feel for children the way that women do. And
she's making it worse. She's literally making it worse. This reminds me of that episode of Friends where Ross was convinced that his cousin wanted to sleep with him. Do you remember this episode? I think it was his cousin or something like that. He had convinced himself that his cousin wanted to sleep with him. And then he made a move. He made a move on her and she freaked out. And so he starts talking to himself. And he's like, she's giving like, what the hell are you doing? And then he's thinking to himself, he goes, say something, say anything. And he couldn't say anything. He just kept looking at her awkwardly. Say something. There's literally nothing you can say that will make this worse. Please say something, say anything. And his thing that he said is he looks at her and he goes, I haven't had sex in a long time. And then he tells her, he goes, you made it worse. You shouldn't have said anything. That's what she's doing right now. You shouldn't have said anything because by saying anything, Mary, you are making it worse. Just shut up because you explaining this is making this worse.
It's my perspective that men do not have the capacity to feel for children the way that women do. And I don't know if I've found a better way to articulate it than women are maternal in a more noticeable way than men are naturally paternal.
I guess like, so one of the things I find most interesting is like, have you ever seen those videos where it's like when mom's home alone with the children versus dad, and they're always doing something dangerous when they're home alone with the dad? Okay. Like I'm not going to lie. I'm not like, maybe it's because I've done risky things skating for 25 years, but when I see a kid running faster than their legs can carry them, my instinct is to stop them from falling. Like I'm not like, well, that's how you learn not to run too fast.
Ooh, Josiah. Just destroyed her right there. Just destroyed her.
My instinct is to stop them before they fall. And some might even tell you that's the wrong instinct, because the mother's instinct should be to stop them before they fall.
And hey, Mary, I bet statistics show that there's a lot of women that simply want to, get pregnant so that they can, get the financial perks. Isn't that interesting? Isn't it also interesting, Mary Morgan, that in this country, the United States of America, isn't it interesting that when it comes to having children, that a man is always financially responsible for those kids, yet the woman has the power to abort that kid without the man having any say-so whatsoever? That's pretty interesting, isn't it? The man doesn't have that power. The woman does, though. The woman absolutely has all that power. Isn't that interesting?
The father's instinct should be like, they need to, sometimes they're going to need to take a tumble if they're going to learn to help themselves. I don't know if that's right, but I know that my instinct is to stop them.
Since you brought up the aspect of like step parents earlier, it is true that kids are far more likely to get abused by a step parent than a parent. And that is even more of a stark contrast when you look at stepfathers versus stepmothers. That is true. I mean, stepmothers are more likely to enter into a family that is not biologically theirs and be able to be competent caregivers to children that are not theirs. Because, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that women are nurturers. And then I feel like
she's making it worse the more that she talks. She's making this so much worse.
people really didn't even try to respond to me in earnest, and now they're dying on this hill that, like, men are actually better at nurturing children than women. And that's just...
I didn't know it was this bad. I really didn't. Anytime I have people on my team, like, people can have whatever opinions they want, but we all at one point in time or another find ourselves in a firestorm on the internet for whatever reason. This is the worst possible response to getting dragged on Twitter that I've seen in a while. Well, outside of a guy named The Quartering, but kind of different circumstances, to be fair.
It's not true.
We've got a couple of 20s here. I'm going to read them quick. Sorry about that, Shane. It says, I just have a psych minor, so what the F do I know? But there's a difference between male innate protector instinct and paternal instinct. Science shows that men's brains rewire during pregnancy as they develop paternal instincts.
Yeah, there is definitely something distinct between a fatherly role and just the masculine protector role.
I think one of the other reasons for...
My God, man. Okay. So, I don't really care to get into too many specifics, but I am a parent to a girl. Okay? I have a daughter. I have a very, very strong connection as a father to a daughter. And I will do anything in the world for her. And I will destroy anybody that even looks at her the wrong way. I will steamroll you. I will end you. And I don't care what punishment I have to deal with. That is just my core, at my core. And that's not just me. That's any decent parent is going to do that. Okay. Like, any decent father is going to have that effect. You will be steamrolled. You will be ended. And I don't care what the circumstances are. Okay. Now, that's also exactly why I don't talk about her for the internet. I don't care to talk about her too much because she's not here for the internet. She's my kid and I love her more than anything in the world. I still had a similar instinct before I became a parent. I had a similar instinct that if I was out in public and I just see a young child that is being mistreated or not properly being looked after, I just had an instinct to be like, where is this parents? Where are the parents at right now? Like, that's just who you are as a person, any decent person. And I don't deserve credit for this. I'm just a normal person. Simple as that. It's not anything that makes me special. I'm just a normal fucking guy that's how I respond. And so this idea, it doesn't make me better or worse than anyone else. It just means that at my core, this is who I am. I'm just a normal dude who just has those instincts. Simple as that. Okay. Trying to make it more complicated than just that is where you start losing people. And this is where she has completely lost the mark. Men and women are different. They are also similar in a lot of ways. But to try and say one is better than the other from a core instinct standpoint on how they take care of children, You have completely missed the point of what makes men and women different. She has no idea what the fuck she's talking about.
Step parents is also like, historically men are the ones whose job it is to like punish and to, you know, make sure the kids don't act out and enact punishment to kids. And that's not something you can really do. You don't, like, if you're a stepdad, you don't have that same like authority over the child.
Well, it's also just because on a primal level, if we're being real, like the stepfather has no genetic incentive to, you know, actually protect those children. Not saying it never happens, but it's not natural that comes to them.
Another 20 from Shane says, protector instinct is what makes us want to protect women or even do things like jump blindly into the fray when we see a friend getting jumped. You need it to fully develop a paternal instinct, but they aren't the same.
Good God, man. Like,
again, I think that so my point was, when I was reading your post earlier, I felt like everybody was kind of having a different discussion because though I did disagree with aspects of what you had set up here, it felt like you said, it devolved into a whole other discussion entirely.
Yeah, we've reached reductio ad absurdum, where people are now in my replies saying that they would rather hire a male babysitter than a female babysitter. And I'm just like, okay, are we even like having a real conversation anymore?
The way things are going with the female teachers at schools these days, I don't even know how far off that's going to be in the next 5 years, given the stories that have been coming out.
I have a pretty, I think, pretty base take on that. Now, and again, I want to qualify that I know everybody can't really have this luxury in life, but the bottom line is don't hire a babysitter. Find a friend or a family member that you know and trust. Simple as that. Don't hire a fucking babysitter that you do not know and you have no personal connection to at all, male or female. Period. End of discussion. And if you can't find someone that you know, that you trust, then welcome to the responsibility of being a parent. You don't hire babysitters off of Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. That is the worst decision you could possibly make. Male or female, I don't care.
Not about that stuff.
But we could easily spin that around and say most pedophiles are men.
No, I'm saying that like it's more just like it's shocking to people now that it's turned on its foot, the way things are going that direction. But you're right. That was I think I pointed out to you earlier that I think it was a Jeff Dye bit where he's talking about equality. He goes, men and women. He says it's stupid to think that men and women are equal equals the same. He actually got that part wrong, but that's not the point. He goes, when you came here tonight and you hired a babysitter, you hired a female one, not because you hate men, but because you're not dumb.
Yeah, that's all I was trying to say, really, is that, you know, children should be in the care of women, generally speaking, because they're the nurturers. And it's okay that that's what women excel at and that that's their strong suit and that it's not one that belongs to men. And we're different.
Well, I mean, like, Jeremy, a young girl, family friend, was arrested for abusing a family member's toddler. She was babysitting. Don't trust others with your children. Well, I mean, there's going to be horrible situations, but you know, in life, there's nothing that's 100%. But my point being is that if you really want to protect your children, don't hire babysitters that you do not know. Make educated decisions. Your child is the most precious, thing on this planet. And you need to do your due diligence with who you are bringing around them to watch them when you are not around. So that's the point. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously terrible things that have happened regardless of that. Let's see. We got JMNZZ450 says, men have been culturally reduced to a wallet bodyguard by communist infiltration into education in Hollywood. Low birth rates plus demoralized male populace makes it easier to pacify society or with VR or prawn. I think you meant porn, but because you probably can't say it. And UBI, they don't want society to have kids. 1000% they don't. They absolutely don't. You are correct about that, sir. Absolutely. And you were correct about that, Scully. I did answer that, but Hassan is the one who shocked his dog. Yes, absolutely. And then JMNZZ450 says, Mr. Miyagi, Danielson, paint the fence. Mary Morgan staring from behind a window, the house across the street. Look at that sick effing predator. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly it, dude. Thank you, brother. And then Scully for 50 says, my dad and brother are protective of me, and it does not matter how old I get. That is exactly how it should be. Always and forever. 100%. Well said, Scully. And then we got Marmillan with 10 says, so she basically just said that if you're a stepfather, you do not have a parental instincts for those kids because you've never created that kid. She is beyond retarded. It's crazy, man. This is just when I had not seen this video. So I already thought that the Twitter stuff was bad enough. But hearing her try to give further context to it has been wild. Marmillan says, I scream it all the time. This is all from the feminization BS that we've embraced. That was a BS movement from the start. All she is talking is all that feminist propaganda BS. Feminism is a disease, and in no way, shape, or form is feminism good. None. Like, I've heard people say, like, well, the original idea of feminism, fuck it. There is no original idea for feminism that was good. All right? None at all. It was never a good idea. It was never beneficial to women. It was always meant to be exactly what it is right now. Marmillan says, the sad thing is some may go out and try and find a partner. Others will seek other games that will monopolize this shit, and we'll have some who are even more attached to their phone pixels BS. You are correct. That is the sad reality. Packy Proton says, would Jeremy torture us with Marmillan's video for $500? If the choice was mine, yes. But the channel probably would not survive. So therefore, I can't show the video. The video is horrific. Even though it's slightly edited, it's horrific. But I can't do it. I had a boss with a smoking daughter. He caught me staring at her pic in his office and said, stop looking at my daughter. I panicked and said I was looking at your son, whose pic was next to hers. Oh, that's good. That is good, right? Magnum Norris for 10 says these people with YouTube censors have lost their mind and they need to fix their own problems or civilization will crumble. And then you said YouTube doesn't allow me to say women in a super chat. What the F? Well, you said it there. Did you have to add the quotation marks? I'm curious. I wonder if that's what it was. And then why should men put up with this stupid shit? They shouldn't. And that's why this game has sold over 1 million copies in just a couple of days. Let's finish this off, though.
And not equal in every respect.
I guess it was just hard for people to see that because they're looking at game footage. Like, it was also quoted with game footage where they're taking you to make a one-to-one comparison of what's going on in this game when that really wasn't the point that you were making.
Okay. And this is something that I was saying off air before we started the show, and I'm going to try to reword it now.
She's about to make it worse.
We started the show, and I'm going to try to reword it now. I don't like that people are going to play this game and think, oh, this game is reflecting back at me what a good person I am. Like, I think that that's a ridiculous way to like interact with any sort of media. Oh, like this movie and how it's making me feel is reflecting back at me like how empathetic I am.
What?
This game is showing me like how naturally virtuous and heroic I am.
Nobody
It's
thinks that. Oh my God. Generally speaking, no one thinks that. Nobody. What is she talking? She just she's just making it worse.
It's a simulation. It's not real life. I don't like that people are using this as a way to virtue signal, essentially. I think maybe that point is not going to be received the way I intend it, but I tried my best.
I think it's sort of at the intersection of the fact that people don't feel like they get a lot of entertainment that speaks to good values these days.
Yes.
So they're kind of
all it is, man. This is not complicated. People just like decent values, and they don't want to be beat over the head with left-wing agendas. This is not a right-wing game. This is not a right-wing agenda. This is a human agenda. This is how humanity moves forward, with strong men protecting the weak. This is how humanity survives. There's no agenda involved with that. All right? The only way that you can make children is for a man and a woman to make that child. That is how humanity moves forward. This is not complicated. That is not a political issue. What is a political issue is the left constantly pushing pro-gay and pro-trans agendas. That is the agenda. A male protecting a vulnerable child is how humanity moves forward. It's the only way humanity can survive and move forward. Strong men stepping up in the time of need.
Kind of enamored with it when it does happen, which we went and saw, what was the Shelter this year, and the whole movie was Jason Statham protecting this young girl who, I forget, it was like his brother's daughter, who it wasn't his daughter, it was like his brother's daughter or something like that. But basically they were running from like an all-powerful government-controlled AI, and he's kind of, he's Jason Statham. He's gruff and he's British, and the kid did a very good job in the movie of kind of bringing out a more paternal instinct in him as the movie came out. And you don't see a lot of that type of storytelling these days. So when they do get it, people get excited.
I did see one take that I think maybe we can all unite on. So shout out to this person on X who said, "Relax. It's so effing cringe. One side turning this into some bullshit pedophile narrative, the other one making it about fatherhood. It's a fucking game. I only care about the gameplay and hope the game can convince me to care about the story."
There you go.
Yeah, but you're the one that was making it about this. Like, that was wild. She just continued to make this worse and worse and worse. Credit where credit's due, I guess, but that was I did not think she was going to make it that bad, but she did. Packy Proton says, look up the game Trap Adventure 2. You will set the record for most swears on Tuesday night's main event if you played it. Noted. John Jones says, Plato said, a wise man has something to say. A fool has to say something. Mary Morgan is a fool. Darth Manic says, Man on Fire, Beardo's documentary on how he got the clap. Jose Molina says Equalizer 3 is a soft sequel. By the way, Hallelujah 199. Packy Proton says deer brand deer dog food tax. Packy Proton says I feel like I'd have better luck finding a woman on Japanese Twitter than in America. Packy Proton says a bit behind. Contact was weird movie. The way she traveled to meet the alien, the odd billionaire that died in space. Interstellar is better. Bill says, I would ask Mary, why is the black community the way it is, mostly being raised by women? God dang it. Oh, fuck. Graham Robinson, I got to agree with Mary Morgan here. Dave Rubin should not be allowed to adopt children. All right. You know what? We agree there. 8 o'clock says, I love when feminists play dollar store therapists like saving the princess wasn't in the first video game in existence. Donkey Kong Mario. Yes. Red Mage for 50 just played the demo of the game back in September, and it's a fun game. I said this on Daily earlier. People freaking out are either telling on themselves or they're reading way too much into this. Essentially, they're making certain arguments. You are correct, Red Mage, and I do appreciate that so much. I'm going to play it. I'm looking forward to checking it out. JRG Project says, as an older brother to a kid's sister, the fatherly protectiveness is still there, if not more so. Yep. Rescott says, remember the episode of The Office when they all brought their kids? Michael Scott was in pain. A lot of dudes are in the same boat. Hero says, Big Daddy showed me a slacker can take up the responsibility of a single parent, be a strong, independent man who don't need no woman. Alex says, when a boy pretends to be Superman, he is expressing his paternal instinct to protect the helpless. Dermy Wormy says, I saw the video. It caused brain cancer. Talking about Tim Pool's video. Aaron James says, I'm steaming hearing her talk for so many reasons. Samurai Knight says, I remember 1/3 of Gen Z was aborted by women. Grannis Potato says that Mary needs the oh no clip. Get with the program, says for $1.99. Darth Gabble says, for fuck's sake, cancel the 19th. I don't know how to say your name. She's basing her entire argument off of her own shit taste in men. A Bridge Too Far says, this is why children need two parents. Women nurture and grow the child while men are there to protect and prepare children for adulthood. Mod Eric says, soon Elon's robots will babysit. Aaron James says, she clearly hasn't seen The Nanny. Miniature Vaughn thinks says, Mary is somewhat semi-attractive. She'll survive. She's definitely somewhat semi-attractive. Magnum Norris says, so she's saying we should not be a good father. I don't know what her overall stance on this shit is. Like, it's so all over the place. Jimbo says, remember in Major Pain when he was dreaming about the barbecue getting invaded by Viet Cong? That's basically what these games are, and it's fine. Dermy Wormy says, if women are so great at raising kids, Blue Twitch wouldn't exist. A-Rod says, I saw the Marmillon vid on X. Holy shit, never seen anyone use power spray that way. Listen, here's what I will tell you, okay? This is probably not a very good advertisement, by the way. All right? If you guys can remind me, I will show the Marmillon video on our next Locals stream if you guys remind me. But I'm not going to tell anybody else on the panel. But I'm going to pull that video up on the panel and force them to watch it as well. It's awful. You've been warned. It's the worst thing ever, and it's probably the worst advertising I've ever had for Locals. But yeah, there we go. Okay? Deal. Random commentator dude says, when I used to play Donkey Kong back in 1983 and save the princess from Kong, I only did it to virtue signal what a good person I was. Said no whatever. Exactly, man. Like, what the hell are we talking about? By the way, I just found this out, but mods should have this link. But we do have a RSVP set up for our Savannah meetup. The details are right there. It's got the time and all of that stuff. So mods, if you can drop a link to this right here, we will get that, and you guys can go and RSVP for that so we can have a good kind of mindset of how many people are going to show up. There it is right there in the chat, pinned post right there. Okay, so make sure you go over there if you're interested. If you're 50-50 on it, RSVP, because we need to kind of have a good idea of how many people are going to be there. Chris says, did Trump post something on the VA elections? I don't have True Social, so I can't tell. Hearing there were thousands of votes dropped last minute. Could be BS. I don't know. Just heard. Yes, he did. And I have it pulled up right here. President Trump on True Social posted this. A rigged election took place last night in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. All day long, Republicans were winning. The spirit was unbelievable until the very end when, of course, there was a massive mail-in ballot drop. Where have I heard that before? And Democrats eked out another crooked victory. 6-5 goes to 10-1, and yet presidential election in November was very close to a 50-50 split. In addition to everything else, the language of the referendum was purposely unintelligible and deceptive. As everyone knows, I am an extraordinarily brilliant person, and even I have no idea what the hell they were talking about. He said, as everyone knows, I am an extraordinarily brilliant person. Let's see if the courts will fix this travesty of justice. President Donald J. Trump. I like how he said, as everyone knows. As everyone knows, I am an extraordinarily brilliant person. So we'll see what happens, but he did make that post, so there you have it right there. Lean back, have a snack for $10 says, I don't see myself reflected back at me when I watch Rocky, Batman, or Die Hard. I see qualities I want to aspire to. Same with Aliens. Men love Ripley because she protects Newt. Correct. And this right here, like my favorite scene in Interstellar is in the Tesseract when, you know, he's talking to Tars and, you know, he tells him about the watch. And Tars says, how will she know, Cooper? And he kind of bows his head and he says, because I gave it to her. That is the most powerful moment for me in the film because it is truly the true connection of the father and the daughter as like, I have faith. I know because I gave it to her, because I know that she will find this. And do I see that in myself? No, but it inspires the living shit out of me to be a better dad all along the way. It inspires me to build that connection and build that foundation. That's what it does for me. Simple as that. So yeah, I mean, these people have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Chad says, this might be a good take if it wasn't for the millions of babies that are being aborted every year without the father of the child knowing about it. 100%. Skywalker DFS says, Jeremy, have you ever seen Lily Gaddis? I would go Interstellar to mouth. You are welcome. Yeah, she's good looking, but she's a complete like phony. Godzilla's Greaser says, watch out for hard-hearted Hannah. I wonder how many people are actually going to get this one. I had to say that one very slow. Let's see. I love this one because this is people that repeat this have never seen the movie because he literally gave the entire fucking farm to his son. He went into the school and fought the school for his son to get a higher education. He gave his vehicle to his son. He left his son all of his worldly possessions. Where do you get this narrative from? Have you seen the fucking movie? He went into the school and he fought for his son to get a higher education. He left his entire world, like he left the farm, he left the house, he left the truck, he left everything to Tom. And then people are like, he didn't care about his son. Did you watch the fucking movie? Fucking people, man. They don't watch shit. They just repeat what they see on the internet. Red Mage for 20 says the vote for no on redistricting was 55-45 at one point. Then when I saw the results, I knew something was up. I unfortunately live in Fairfax County, and I'm sure there was some BS going on. I hope Trump really presses on this. I really do. But, you know, we'll see. I'm glad that he's addressing it. Jimbo says, Clifford the regular red deer. And, well, sir, your son stole John Wick's car and killed his small deer. Good old small deer. One more time, please RSVP if you have not. So right here, we have the Savannah meetup next month, a month from today. So at the 9 Line headquarters. So I'm looking forward to seeing how many people are going to show up for that. Again, if you're 50-50 on coming there, please, go ahead and RSVP. We need to get a good idea of how many people are going to be there. I will have another stream later tonight. So we also have a video game stream. I think they're playing Party Animals tonight, I think. So that's going on Geeks Gamers Play, and I will be back here with more information. Please subscribe to D-Day Cobra 2. That's where all the clips will be going. I do appreciate all the support. You guys have a good evening, and I will talk to you. Oh, hang on. Okay. Oh, fuck. Never mind. Hang on. Well, whatever for 10 on Rumble says, I have been statistically proven. It has been statistically proven that women are more likely to abuse children than men. Crowder has covered this topic a lot over the years. Simple as that. And then Waffle Master says, guys, quote, guys don't have protective instincts. If you do give off the that vibe, you are a PDF. John Wick took out a whole organization over a dog. Also, young siblings, nieces, and nephews exist, and guys protect them 100%. And then Stephen Strange says, I did not know Hassan had a deer. Ministry of Wrong Thing says, Jeremy is owned by the Yazidis. 2020 or 2017, Trump is owned by the Nazis. 2026, Trump is owned by the Jews. You can't make this up. But then again, you can. You absolutely can. Welcome to the world that we are in. All right. Thank you, guys. I'll see you a little bit later. Have a good evening, and we'll talk to all of you later. Bye, everyone.